be with them. Glad to hear all these positive things happening.
Okay.
It's just by itself.
Who made the functional?
Oh wow. Is that that?
He has something to do.
So, shalom again, everyone. After a break, Be'ezrat Hashem, B'Shem Hashem Na'aseh v'Natzliach, as the famous saying goes. So there is a famous midrash. You might have heard it. I might have said it before, but it doesn't hurt. There is a story with a chassid, big tzaddik, right? That he had one cow, and he would use it for work, every day. And sure enough, when Shabbat would come, this cow would not be working; it would be resting. So thank you. So after a while, this tzaddik, he started going bankrupt, and he had to sell his cow, and he had to sell it to a goy. So the goy buys the cow and takes it to work, and every single day he was working it, and Shabbat as well. Took the yoke, put it on the cow wouldn't move. Whatever it did, whatever the owner did, it wouldn't move, wouldn't budge. And he's hitting the cow, nothing. He's frustrated. He goes to the seller. He goes, what is this? This thing was working perfectly fine, and today it just stopped working. So he said, I know what's going on. Don't worry, I'll come with you. And he goes and sees the poor cow is bleeding. And he goes to the cow's ear and says, listen, until now, my dear cow, you were resting for Shabbat because you were mine. Now, because of my sins, I had to sell you to this person. This person is not a Jew, doesn't keep Shabbat. So therefore, you could get up and work. As soon as the cow heard this, the cow got up and starts working. The goy blocks this guy. He says, tell me what you did to him. Did you do some sort of black magic or something? He says, no, this is what's going on. This is what happened. Until now it was mine, and I wouldn't work it on Shabbat. And now it's Shabbat, but he's yours, so I told him he could work now. When the goy heard this, he's like all shaken up. He says, what is this? This is a cow. The cow doesn't understand. The cow doesn't know what's going on. Doesn't know what creation is, what everything is, and look at this. Automatically, it wasn't doing anything. And me, I'm a human being, way different. I should see who created me, and so on and so forth. And it turns out, after a whole process, he does go ahead and convert. He becomes a Jew, and he was known as the famous Rabbi Yochanan ben Torta. Tor is a shore, is an ox. The ox was the cause of this Chacham becoming what he became. Okay, so that's it's an amazing thing. You see the Shabbat, real Shabbat gives such influence, such kedusha, such holiness all over the world. Even a cow, right, realizes. Remember the story with the parrot that we mentioned before, going Shabbat, all of that, and it's incredible how through this Shabbat we are able to remove all the barriers that come up between us and the kedusha and everything. It's kedusha of Shabbat. Okay, Be'ezrat Hashem, we're going to continue from where we left off. The last thing that we had, the last segment, was about Amira legoy, telling a goy things. So we discussed the prohibition. We said that there are three different categories. If the goy is totally doing it for himself, he's doing it for himself and the Jew, or he's doing it solely for the Jew. Then from there we moved on. We said we talked about if he does a melacha for the Israel, right? But the melacha is not really needed. It's just adding to what was going on. We said that would be allowed. And we also mentioned that you could tell a goy after Shabbat, why didn't you do this for me on Shabbat? And then that's a remez, that's a hint. From there you'll understand that he should do this for next Shabbat, but this is only if things that Israel does not have a real benefit from. like lighting, turning the light off, right? So it doesn't have a real benefit from it. It's just the light is off. So these sort of things would be allowed. And then we also said that if the goy does actually do something only for the Jew, right? As he cooks something for him, he cannot have benefit from this until enough time elapses between end of Shabbat and however long it would take to cook this food. It's sort of like a fine that you didn't end up gaining anything by the goy doing this for you.
Is the Shabbat ending? If let's say someone keeps Rabbeinu Tam, but is Shabbat ending is when it ends, or
No, after the Zaman of the Geonim, like a half hour. About 40 minutes after Shabbat, already you start the countdown from there. Rabbeinu Tam, maybe we'll discuss it one time. It's really, everybody says it's a chumrah. It's not like, we try for a lot of real melachot of Shabbat. We try to keep this chumrah of Rabbeinu Tam, right? But things that would be like preparation. You want to soak your dishes without doing any melacha. You just pour cold water on them, let's say. So at least they'll start soaking. After the Zaman of the Geonim, you could do it, or folding in one's talit. These sort of things
How
after
about
this.
cleaning up the table or tidying up?
Yeah, that's fine. As long as you're not doing any melacha, that's fine.
you're not gonna say Baruch Hamabdil, or that's just cancelled? So if you
No,
say
because really these are hachana. These are not real melachot. So the time of Rabbeinu Tam, like that we're machmir, we try to keep that. That's we try to do it for real melachot. That was our Bavadi. Some others say no, you can't do any melacha, like Hasidim or some other, you can't do any melacha and everything. Rabbi says let's try to keep it at least as a chumrah, anything the oraita we won't do, to start the car, start the laundry, the washing machine, these sort of things. Let's not do. But that's sort of what I said. Every year he would say before Yom Kippur, he would say he would talk about this. He would say to try to keep Rabbeinu Tam, but and that's what he meant, the chumrah of it. So as far as that, that for sure, they would start from the time of the Geonim, which is about, I would say, around 40 minutes after Shekiah. All right, good. So now we get to let's see how we could tell a goy what to do. What are the things that are allowed to tell a goy? So first of all, anything which is a machloket, there's an argument between poskim, if a Jew is allowed to do it or is not allowed to do it on Shabbat, right? This you're allowed to tell a goy to do it because the prohibition of telling a goy to do something is rabbinic, right? As we mentioned before, it is assumed from the rabbinic dictum to tell a goy to do something. So when there is a machloket, there is an argument, if for us even, is it allowed or is it not allowed, right? Then it becomes something like a safek, that there is a doubt about this, right? In an isur, right? Derabanan, the isur derabanan, the prohibition, rabbinic prohibition would be to tell the goy. So in this case, we could be lenient. Therefore, you could tell the goy to do it. Let's see examples. First example. There is an argument about reheating something which is liquid, something which was cooked for Shabbat, and it's liquid. Can we reheat it on Shabbat? You have chicken soup, which is sitting in the refrigerator, and you want a nice hot chicken soup, right? Let's say it's snowing very bad, and you are in a mood for a good, nice hot chicken soup, and you would like it to be heated, taken out of the fridge and be reheated. According to the Rambam and the Rashba, right, they say that there is no bishul achar bishul. That means it is not considered cooking, even though it is liquid, right? It's not a problem because it was already cooked, and we don't say now that you're reheating it, you are cooking it because it was already cooked. That's according to the Rambam, Rashba, some others. Others, like Rashi and Rabbeinu Yonah and Rabbeinu Asher, they say no. This case, when if you reheat a liquid which was already cooked, but you want to reheat it, this is considered cooking, right? The only time that the Talmud says that cooking, there is no cooking after cooking, that's only something which is dry. Okay? Shulchan Aruch, we said, surprisingly, goes not like the Rambam in this case, and he's machmir. Shulchan Aruch says that we do not reheat something which is liquid on Shabbat. So there's a question: why? Why did the Shulchan Aruch say that? Did he want to be machmir? Because it's after all said and done, it's a Torah prohibition to cook, or he had a doubt where to go, and he just says therefore we should be machmir. Shalom. So he said we should be machmir, and that's a Shulchan Aruch, and as we all know, this is what we do. We don't reheat a liquid on Shabbat. So now in this case, you could tell a goy, Mustafa, come open my fridge over here, take my chicken soup and put it on the plata, on the blech for me, so that it will be nice and hot. That's allowed because there is a machloket here. Although we go l'chumra, we are stringent, very careful, we don't do it. But for him, for the goy, this is no machloket. Let him do it because even for us, we are being more stringent. Ashkenazim can't do that, by the way, because for Ashkenazim, something which is totally cold, they say you can't reheat it, right? You could only reheat something that's a little bit warm, liquid. But if it's totally cold from the fridge, you cannot reheat that. So in this case, they can't tell goy either to reheat it. So that would be out of it.
How do we know what's a machloket? I mean, I know we learned it and everything.
The things that we know, right? I'm just giving you examples of. I'm trying to collect all the examples that I could come up with. Next example. Let's say your chalmant is burning, and you would like to add boiling hot water to it. You're not in the mood of the suggestion we gave in shiur to put it into a different pot, kalishani, and add boiling hot water to it, or the thing that's mentioned, to already have before Shabbat, just in case this happens. You have a balloon, you have a bag, cooking bag in there, then you just pop it with the water, get in there, or none of those suggestions. But they do have Mustafa, you tell her, come here, and he brings the urn, just pours it in. That's fine, because over here also there is a machloket. Ashkenazim, we said they allow it. The one is allowed to add boiling hot water to keli rishon, right? So you don't want it to burn. But we are more machmir. But in this case, we could tell a goy to do it. You are making Israeli salad, and you would like it to be very fine and small, right? And you don't want to eat it right away. So we said, if you don't want to eat it right away, you better cut it a little bit bigger, right? So, but they want it for later. You're gonna have a lot of guests, and you're not gonna have time to do it later. So you would like to do it now, 2-3 hours before the meal, before the guests come. You could tell the maid to cut them really, really small, and that would be allowed. But because of that, there is a machloket, as we said. What else? You would like to scrape. There's dirt on the clothing, on one of your kids' clothing, let's say. You would like it nice and clean. So we said the idea is you could scrape it with your nail, right? We said that is allowed. But to take it and fold it and go like that, to rub it against each other, that you can't do, right? To fold it in and rub it, you could tell the goy to do that and get it nice and clean. That's fine. You can't tell him to wash it on Shabbat. That's a melacha. That's asur to tell the goy to do. But to do this, one is allowed to do. There is a question about Reshut HaRabim, right? The public domain these days, we mentioned this when we were learning it, if it is rabbinic, the prohibition, or it is from the Torah. Most of the Geonim, most of the Chachamim say that Reshut HaRabim these days is from the Torah. Therefore, however, Maran writes that you are allowed to send food through a goy, that he takes the food and goes through Reshut HaRabim to an important goy that he should as a gift. You want to send him something to bribe him or to appease him or whatever it is. You are allowed to send this through a goy, although he's going to be carrying it through Reshut HaRabim, being that we have a machloket about the Reshut HaRabim nowadays. So in this case, we could tell a goy, in a case like this, to send food to the goy through this goy.
Not to a Jew.
What?
Not to a Jew.
No, not to send the food to a Jew. After all said and done, there's no reason. Unless it's a tzorach mitzvah, we're going to get to it. If a person is sick, remember we said that if a person is sick, and he needs food, then certainly we could send it through a goy. No problem. We could even send the goy to buy it. Right? Okay, so that would be another allowance where there is again a machloket, and we're telling the goy to go ahead and do this for us on Shabbat. Right? So a bunch of these things will be allowed. All of these cases, you are telling the goy directly, right? This is without hinting or anything. You just tell him directly, do this, do this, do this, do this. All these cases, like put the food on the blech, or pour the hot water in there, or cut the salad real fine, or to clean the clothing, and so on and so forth, or to carry the food. That would be one allowance where there is a machloket. The next one is if it's for tzorech of mitzvah, right? If there is a need of mitzvah, Chachamim over there did not make a gezerah, right? They allowed us to tell a goy to do a melacha, which is asur miderabanan, which is rabbinically asur, no machloket, right? There is a melacha that is totally asur miderabanan to do. Chachamim allowed that we could tell a goy for a mitzvah that we should tell him to do it. That's fine. This is called shevut. The shevut, right? Bimkom mitzvah. Shevut, we mentioned. What does shevut mean? It's the language of the Chachamim. Shevut is a rabbinic prohibition in the telling of the goy, right? Remember we said it's shevut because it says Uvayom HaShavi'i tishbot, and the seventh day you should have shevita. That means just lay back, don't do the melacha, don't do anything. We have to give Shabbat an aura of Shabbat. So part of it, there's a lot of the rabbinic dictums that Chachamim came up with. They're called shevut. Now this is called shevut. Telling a goy is a shevut. Shevut dishvut. You tell the goy to do something, another thing, which is rabbinic. Right? Telling a goy is rabbinic. You tell a goy to do something which is rabbinic, bimkom mitzvah, in a place that it is for a need of a mitzvah, that is allowed. Okay? It's not only there, let's say there's a great need, right? Or chas v'shalom, someone is not feeling well, so then in that case, you could tell a goy to do a rabbinic melacha, that is fine. Or if there is tsa'ar, we're gonna see an example, right? Let's say it's a summer and it's extremely hot. That's tsa'ar, right? It's very uncomfortable. And let's say a person wants to learn Torah, or they want to eat the meal, and they have a very hard time. Right? So then you are allowed to tell a goy to turn the fan on. You could also tell the goy to turn the air conditioning on. Right? Why? Because both of these acts are asur midirabanan. Right? Turning the AC or turning the fan on is asur, but it's midirabanan. So now you're telling a goy, that's midirabanan, to do a melacha, which is asur midirabanan, to turn the fan or the air conditioning on. Right? Both of these, right? It's shevut. The shevut bimkom tsa'ar, where there is a tsa'ar, when we're having trouble, or bimkom mitzvah, a person wants to learn Torah or wants to have a seudah of Shabbat, and they can't do it. So therefore, one is allowed to do that, to tell the goy to turn it on. Is that clear? Is that good?
Even if there's an indicator light or some light turns on when you press the button of the air conditioning or something.
Even though a little light turns on, right? It's considered pasik reshe, right? And pasik reshe by a goy is fine. He's not, when he turns the button on, his intention is not for the light to turn on. His intention is for the air conditioning to work, right? When the goy does not have any intention for that specific melacha, it's considered pasik reshe, and for a goy we don't say pasik reshe. Therefore, it is allowed. Okay?
In Yom Tov, you're allowed to cook basically and turn on fire.
Right. No, not turn on fire. The fire has to be an existing fire.
Okay.
Transfer.
You could turn the fire on from an existing fire. That's correct. Yes.
So
Sorry.
what if there's no existing fire?
Can a goy? That's a good question. I have to think about it.
Or can she plug in the let's say crock pot in? Can she do that? So let's say
On Yom Tov,
Yes.
let's say Yom Tov is on Friday, and you would like to have the cholent, so she would plug in the thing. It's not working. I don't know. I have to check.
We can relate.
It's not me. I'm not there. I have to change the mode to Yom Tov mode, like you know.
oh sorry.
No, it's fine. Let's check. Let's check into it. So let's go back to Shabbat. However, remember.
So how bad does it need to be really hot in order?
Well, you can't
Are
sit
you
there.
like mama?
You're not comfortable. You're very uncomfortable sitting on Shabbat. Like if there is a way out, if you go open the windows or whatever it is, like get Mustafa to
Fan you.
to fan you, whatever it is. Like we're talking about discomfort. It has to be really uncomfortable.
What if sometimes when you just get back from like walking home from shul or something, it's really, really hot.
Right.
But if you
first-
allow yourself a few minutes, then it'll become better.
Right.
Is that considered?
No, I would suggest to wait. Patience is a virtue. We're talking about Bimkom Tzar, that they have actual Tzar. Or Bimkom Mitzvah. Listen, they got in right away and they don't have that much time. They're going to run out or whatever it is, and they want to eat the meal. And it would be impossible to sit by the table and eat. You need to get cooled down. That would be, that would be allowed to tell them. Tzorach Mitzvah, Tza'ar, or Choli Ketzat. Someone who is very sensitive to heat. He starts itching, very uncomfortable, then for sure, in that case, you could tell the legoy to turn it on. Now remember, if there are lights, indicator lights, then for a Jew it's a problem, because it's Pasik Reshe. And Pasik Reshe is a sur from the Torah, right? That means you do something that would be allowed, it's like you cut the chicken's head, right? It's going to die, Pasik Reshe v'lo yamut. It's assumed from the Torah, Pasik Reshe. Nobody says that. In that case, that would be totally assumed. But for a goy, we don't say Pasik Reshe. And for a goy, this is the turning on the thing, because it's rabbinic and bimkom tzar, there is a tzar, and therefore it would be allowed. Good? Is that clear? Let's say you're having a meal and your guests are coming and it's extremely hot. Suddenly it just became hot. Middle of Shabbat. Then you can find a goy to go ahead and turn the air conditioning on, right? Because they're going to be coming and it's going to get really hot because when there's a crowd, it's going to get even hotter. And there's a mitzvah of Seudat Shabbat, and it's going to be Mekom Tzar, and even, especially if there's more people, then that would be allowance. Right? Okay. This heter that we just mentioned is called Shivut Dishvut Bimkom Tzar. Right? It's also mutar, as we mentioned, for guests. Right? Right? You're having guests over, so that's allowance. It's pretty. It's sad because they're gonna be coming in, and you're gonna be pretty embarrassed. If you work so hard, and they're coming, and it'll take away from the kavod of Shabbat. No, from the kavod of Shabbat and everything. So therefore, one is allowed. Also, another rabbinic thing would be like this. Let's say. There is Sunday is Rosh Hashanah, and they need to blow the shofar. And the only time that we could get the shofar is stuck on top of the tree. Climbing a tree is asur midrabanan. Second day of Rosh Hashanah is also midrabanan to blow the shofar. You could still tell a goy on Shabbat, go on top of the tree, give me the shofar. Okay? You get it? Even though right now on Shabbat, I don't need it, I can blow the shofar on Shabbat anyway. It's for tomorrow. Right? And even tomorrow is a rabbinic mitzvah. Even for that, I could tell him on Shabbat to go ahead and bring it down for me. There's other examples, of this. Send the goy to bring lulav and etrog. There's a bunch of these examples that is allowed.
Why
right?
do you need the shofar?
You're afraid
Why
that
do
the
you need
goy
the
is going to
shofar
die
today?
by tomorrow. Whatever.
Oh my god.
Right? Or you need it early in the morning. He's not going to come until 10 o'clock in the morning. You need it 6 o'clock in the morning. Let's say. We could come up with cases. That's easy. Now, as we mentioned before, if there is a case chas v'shalom of chole she'em bo sakana, one is allowed, as we mentioned before, to tell a goy to do even melachot that are asur from the Torah. Remember, we said even cooking. Let's say the chole needs tea, and we don't have tea at home. There's no tea. The chole, you tell the goy, listen, this chole she'em bo sakana needs tea. He will take the kettle, put water in it, right? Turn the stove on, put the water on the stove, boil the water, make tea, and serve the chole, right? You could tell a goy in the case of a chole she'em bo sakana to make tea, coffee, all this sort of thing. These are isurim which are even from the Torah, right? One is allowed to tell him there is a malacha of havara here, there is a malacha of bishul. Even so, we could tell him, you don't have to say, let's do it in a way that it's going to be over on less melachot. You don't have to concern yourself with that, right? How can I tell him that, do it this way, so it'll be less? Just tell him, we need tea, and he'll make tea.
Directly, can I tell? You're saying it
Directly,
Yes.
directly, 100%. Yeah. All these cases that we're saying direct, right? Yeah.
So about Amira La'akum.
This is where Amira La'akum is allowed. That's exactly the point. So far, whatever we mentioned is Amira La'akum, where directly you're allowed to. Right? These are the exemptions. Let's say it's extremely cold, right? We're talking about extremely cold. The case is, the Rishonim that wrote this, they lived in Europe, and they bring live examples, like what they saw themselves. Great Chachamim did. All right, it's very cold. I just wanted to say it was very cold, right? Then one is allowed to tell a goy to make a fire, right, or to turn the heater on, whatever it is, right? Real fire, right? So that you'll be able to sit. Now, this is asur from the Torah, but to tell a goy to do it in these cases, right? Amira la'akum, telling a goy is asur min Rabbanan, but in this case, we become tsa'ar gadol. Tsa'ar gadol is great discomfort, great, it could be dangerous sometimes. Then it is allowed. So listen, there are people that are very sensitive to cold, and they could chas v'shalom get sick. Right? In those cases, of course, the Chachamim did not make a decree. Don't tell a goy. They would say, in those cases, do tell a goy. And little kids, right? I don't know if in LA, if it's applicable. Maybe a couple of weeks ago when it was really cold, and in those cases, you could really tell a goy, even to turn a fire on. But these days, we have air conditioners that also could give heat, right? So that's easier than fire, right? Again, because we're dealing with not real fire. It's you're talking about the electricity current running and making it hot. Then that would be it would be even easier. Right? In those cases, that would be easier because we're dealing again shevut. The shevut bimkom tsa'ar or bimkom choli, right? It's double rabbinic. Telling a goy is rabbinic. Turning the unit is also rabbinic in this case. And then it would be bimkom tsa'ar. Then it would be an allowance to go ahead and turn it on. There you could have even a small excuse because Chazal say that hakol cholim, when it comes to cold, catching a cold, everybody's sick. So everybody's considered sick. So therefore, a double rabbinic would be allowed. Right? If a person is cold and he's afraid he's going to catch a cold, he could tell a goy to turn the AC on, meaning the heater on. That would be allowed. Now, let's say he turns it on and then he says, "Oops, it's on the AC." Right? Right? Can he switch it? Right? Or he turns it on. Let's say let's say during the noontime. He turns it on and the air was really hot, so he turned the AC on. 3 hours later, there is a cold wave that comes in and everybody's freezing. You could tell him, hey, switch it to heat. The same principle. You could do that. Okay, so that's another allowance to tell the goy about this. What about where there is a tsar ba'al chayim, right? The animal will be suffering. Can you tell a goy to do a melacha? Yes, right? Even a melacha which is asur from the Torah, we could tell a goy to do. Prime example, we had it to milk a cow on Shabbat. Right? That's asur from the Torah, right? Where the animal, it's time for the milking, and the animal is suffering. I don't know if you ever seen, the cows when the time comes. You don't want to be there because they start screaming. It's scary, very scary. They have a lot of pain, and if they don't get to them on time, it can go crazy. So it's a lot of tzar. They have a lot of pain. Then for sure, certainly would be mutar to tell a goy to do it. No problem. Okay. Okay. Next, if it's a mitzvah derabim, mitzvah of for public, for a community, for the congregation, then we are allowed to tell a goy again to do melachot which are also asur from the Torah. Okay. Let's say there is a short in the electricity in the shul, right? They're in the middle of prayer, and the electricity went out. We could go ahead, call the goy, tell him directly, listen, Mustafa, the electricity is out, turn it off. It's very hard. People don't know the whole tefillah by heart. It would be very hard. In that case, you could go ahead and tell him directly to turn the light on. Everybody's scared. Oh, how should we tell him? What are we gonna say? No, it's a mitzvah derabim. It's a mitzvah of public, and it's Amira la'akum. In that case, Chachamim allowed us to tell the goy directly to do. You're walking on the street. You notice the string of the eruv is down, right? You could tell a goy directly, get back up there and fix this thing up, bring a ladder or whatever it is, because you're saving many from carrying. They don't know, they have no clue, so you would be saving them to do it. And in this case, according to many Rishonim, this is even one shavut, right? One rabbinic, and that would be allowed. Other Rishonim say it's a double because the Rishut Rabbim would not be the oraita from the Torah, it's the Rabbanan. According to them, for sure it would be allowed for him to tell a goy to do this to fix the eruv.
What's considered many people?
At least 10.
At least
Yeah, that's a tzibur, right? The more the merrier, but at least 10 people. You have a minyan, you have a community. Now, it is allowed for the goy to carry something which is muktzeh on Shabbat for the Jew, right? Let's say you come home and you see, oh, my cell phone is on the table. For some reason, you don't want to move it yourself because you're afraid you might touch a button or whatever it is, right? And the goy is right there. It's much easier to tell the goy, go ahead and move this, put it somewhere else, right? Sorry, and you could tell him, this one is even better. You could tell a goy to come with you and to carry a candle, right? Even if the candle is an oil lamp, right? An oil lamp, we know that it's pretty close that it would be when the oil moves, it'll make the flame higher. So we're talking about a melacha deoraita, right? It's a melacha deoraita, but that's not my concern. My concern is only muksa over here. He'll do whatever he can. If he wants to walk very slow, so that he won't move, that's his thing, right? The only concern is muktzeh. Is it muktzeh? Is he allowed to move it? Yes, the goy is allowed to move it, and you could have him walk around, not a problem, right? Even though there is that possibility that he's going to be over on a isur, the oraita of making the flame higher or lower, we're still allowed to do it because that's not the objective. The objective is for him to carry the lamp.
Sorry, what was the general rule that you gave for this family?
For carrying the lamp? Oh, the moving muktzeh. this goes under the category of this is mukseh, right? This is the flame is mukseh, and the lamp would be basis of the asur, and which is asur to move for us definitely on Shabbat, and especially that we are scared that it could cause the flame to go up or down, which would be havara or kibui, right? Turning the fire on, like making the fire higher, that would be havara, and making the fire lower, that would be kibui, putting it out. And in both cases, and either way would be asur for us. But for the goy, the only concern would be, is he moving something which is mukseh? Because that is what I told him, to move the mukseh. And we say for him to move the mukseh is not a problem. Okay? Next thing. We all know what is melacha she'ena tzericha legufa. We're all familiar with the terminology, right? Melacha she'ena tzericha legufa. There is a melacha of Shabbat, right? Which is asur. Let's say it is asur to dig a hole in the ground. Okay, that would be either boneh or choresh, whatever thing that it is. And let's say the person that is digging this hole in the ground on Shabbat, he is not digging the hole in the ground on Shabbat in order to dig a hole. He's doing it to get the dirt. So his intention is not really for the melacha of digging. His intention is to get the dirt. Okay? Is that clear? Mm-hmm. This is considered melacha. He's doing a melacha. But she'ena tzericha legufa. He's not doing it for the goof of the thing, for the thing itself. Now, this is still asur midrabanan. But it's not, at least it goes down a level from Torah. It's not asur from the Torah. Right? He used the dirt, I don't know, to cover other dirt, whatever there is, some dirt over there. He wants, so he is over on a isur midrabanan, right? But it's not the oraita. Now, you are allowed to tell a goy to do something which is melacha she'ena tzericha legufa, right? You want to tell a goy to dig a hole in the ground, but you don't need the hole in the ground. You need the dirt for tzorech mitzvah. There is a mitzvah. Let's say, just a wild example. People want to pray, and it's very dirty over there. There's, child was not wearing a diaper, and we need some dirt to put on it, so it'll get covered. So therefore, it would be allowed for us to pray. Then it's allowed. You're allowed to tell a girl to do that on Shabbat.
Isn't that beautifying the ground?
Well, he should not have the intention of beautifying. Just dump it there, right? Throw it on, for that purpose, that's fine. Another example, you want to tell, you left, your husband left his talit in the car, okay? And oops, you can't open the door because the light is going to turn on, right? So what can you do? Mustafa, I left my talit in the car, go get it. He goes in, he presses the button, opens the door, even though the light is going to turn on Shabbat. Because of you, that's allowed, right? Because that's his thing. That's melacha she'ena tzericha legufa. His thought is to open the door. It's not his thought that, I'm going to turn that light on. Not at all. So therefore, that is allowed. One is allowed to do it.
What about with the refrigerator? Is there any?
Oh, very good. That's the next one. Let me see if everybody brought that. Well, that goes to the next category. Let's hold on to that. Refrigerator, that would be a pasik reshe. Let's deal with the melacha she'ena tzericha legufa right now. Or he left the light on in his bedroom and he can't sleep, so he could tell a goy to turn the light off. How do you like that? You know why?
What?
You know why?
That last one you like
Because turning the light off, turn the light off, not on. Turn the light on, that's a melacha of mav'ir. But turn the light off, what is the melacha of kibui? What is the melacha of putting fire out on Shabbat? It's asur only when you get charcoal out of it. That would be a melacha tzericha legufa. The melacha of kibui is, what's the melacha? Big deal, you're putting out the fire. That's, what are we doing? What we're doing is, the result of that is that the wood now is going to turn into charcoal. If you let it burn, You have ashes. It's not going to do you good. So, have you ever made charcoal? Like, stuck in a camping trip? This is how you got to do it. You dig a hole in the ground. You take some wood, and you burn it, right? You burn it. Once it's nice and good, take dirt and pour it on it. Next day, you have perfectly good charcoal. Like, let it dry, and I'm telling you, it's the best. That's melech kibui. Like putting that dirt on that fire, putting it out. That's good because the result is you're gonna get charcoal, right? Gechalim, charcoal. So in this case, when you put the light out, there's no charcoal, right? So therefore, it becomes turning off the light would be a malacha she'eina tzericha legufa, and being that it's a malacha she'eina tzericha legufa, it would become asur midei rabbanan. So therefore, you could tell a goy, Mustafa, I can't sleep. That would be a remez. You could even tell him, a person is really not feeling well. He really needs sleep. Otherwise, he's going to get sick. I tell him to turn the light off. That's a melacha she'eina tzericha legufa. Good one, no? Okay. No. Sorry. This is Pasik Risha.
Thank you.
Thank you.